Good evening. Welcome to a series of live interviews with some of the Theatre by QE2 entertainers, comedians, in collaboration with Big Fish Comedy. Thank you to Theatre by QE2, Book My Show, H2 Productions. In particular, thanks, Nigel, for pressing the buttons at the right time. And of course, Big Fish Comedy, who are bringing tonight's guest over to Dubai to entertain and enlighten the Dubai comedy goers soon. Now, before we chat to tonight's willing guest, I want to quickly just talk about prizes from last week's shows. Now, on Thursday night, comedian, impressionist, and all-round entertainer John Clegg was on the show. We asked you for 2 tickets to see John's show on board the QE2 later in 2020. What year did John appear on Britain's Got Talent? Now, it was 2014, and we'll be in touch with the winner in the comments on the Facebook page that they were watching. Don't forget that every night we're going to be giving away free tickets for future productions with Big Fish Theatre by QE2. And I've got another quiz question soon. So here's our guest tonight. He needs no introduction, but here he is.
Oh, thanks. Well, all right, it's not a quiz. I know you're looking at the hair and thinking Hulk Hogan's let himself go. This is what Donald Trump looks like when he comes out of the shower, this is.
It's a man who needs no introduction. That is Mick Miller. Mick, it's really good to have you on. How's things? How you doing?
I'm super. Yeah. Missing all you gang over there in the sun.
Do you know what? Before we go any further, I've got to say, I know that this is probably lockdown whiskers, but paired with the hat there, it's a unique look for you. I'm liking it.
Yes, yeah, I'm liking it myself, yeah, because this lockdown, I mean, like, do you know, I'm starting to miss people I don't even like.
So weird. Have you found it a strange time, lockdown? Because I don't know about you, at the start of this, I thought, I'm going to be fine. I like being by myself. I don't need a lot of other people. But I've gone a little bit stir crazy.
It is, yeah. Matt, I've got a nice garden, so I can do a bit of gardening. I've got a little pond, so I can look after the fish. But otherwise, I mean, like, you know, keeping the act going. I started to, you know, start doing gags to the mirror, and then I found myself heckling myself.
How do you deal with the heckling of yourself? I don't know where I'm going with that. let's start at the beginning, actually, Mick, if you don't mind. I've known of you and seen you for many years, of course, but just talk us through where it all started. When did you realise you were going to make a living making people laugh?
Well, you know, I started off. I was a pro footballer from the age of 16. I got signed by Sir Stanley Matthews to play for Port Vale. So I was a goalkeeper. So I was there from 16 till I was 19, and I didn't make it. I was a goalkeeper. So I went to Pontins. That's where all the entertainers at the time learnt the trade. And I was always a bit of a gag master at school. So class clown. So I got the job there as a sports host, obviously with the football thing. And then part of the job was getting involved with the Blue Coat show and calling the bingo and getting involved with the Donkey Derby and things like that. And that's how it all started.
I mean, it's long been like that, hasn't it? At Pontins, and I suppose Butlins as well, with the on the Redcoat side, that it was almost a breeding ground for talent like yours.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't go on so much now. I still work Butlins. You know, I do the 80s and 90s weekends, and they're absolutely fabulous. Yeah, Pontins. You know, I don't think nowadays, you know, you don't have to do anything as such as a blue coat or a red coat. When I was there, you had to do something. You know. And when you think the stars that have come out of it, you know, Bradley Walsh, Shane Ritchie, Brian Connolly, so many. And even on the other side, the blue coats, the red coats was Jimmy Tarbuck, Dave Allen, people like Des O'Connor. You know, that's where they all started. So it's a shame that type of thing to train has gone nowadays, really.
Now, that's a roll call of sort of British comedy over the last, I suppose, 40 odd years, isn't it? That?
Yeah, it's that's the way it was, you know. And after I learnt an act, you know, and I went back for 3 years to, you know, perfect a bit of a 45-minute spot. As Sonia will tell you, I mean, Sonia was doing the same circuits. It's hard work, but then I got an act together, and I found myself an agent. I lived in Bournemouth at the time, so I worked the army camps there. There was loads of army camps, junior ranks clubs, and I got a job calling bingo in the daytime, which paid me rent, and then doing the gigs at night. Then I worked on that for a few years, and then I got a break with an office in Manchester, who managed Cannonball, Stu Francis. And them days, there was loads of clubs. Every town had a cabaret club, you know, with the big ones, Batley Variety, all these big cabaret clubs. In fact, I did Batley Variety Club. I did it supporting Fleetwood Mac 1 week and Chuck Berry. You know, incredible.
Wow.
And then I toured a lot with the Drifters, the original Drifters, and then I toured a lot with Tony Christie. I did a few weeks with Tommy Cooper, which was just incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just a completely different time. Lineups like that now, you couldn't imagine that.
Oh, it was incredible. I did a couple of weeks with the Stylistics. They were just, because these clubs were massive, you know, and every town more or less had one, you know, they were incredible. And that was great experience, you know. In fact, I got told off.
I was going to say, go on.
There was a club in Luton called Caesar's Palace, and it was on an industrial estate, but it was incredible. And I was doing a week with Shirley Bassey, and I went on this night, and I absolutely got standing ovation. And I was down for 12 minutes, and I did 14. And the manager come round, you know, and I thought he's going to give me a big hug. And he just smacked me across the ear. And he went, "Don't you ever do that again. You cost me £100 behind the bar." Because the interval was only 20 minutes. So taking 2 minutes off cost him £100. So I never did it again.
That is a harsh reality. But I mean, that's the thing with that, is that's you serving. I mean, that's a real apprenticeship, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. And then I got on in fact, that week at Caesar's Palace with Shirley Bassey, the producer of New Faces, which was like the Britain's Got Talent of the day. He saw me, so I got a spot on there. And I won my heat on New Faces. I didn't get anywhere in the final, but that was my first ever television. Yeah, 76 that was. And then
that gave you the taste.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to talk to you about that a little bit later on, but I'm just wondering, when you started, who were your comedy heroes? But I mean, it applies now as well. Who are the comedy heroes now too?
Well, I loved Bob Monkhouse, Ken Dodd, Les Dawson, Cooper, obviously, Tommy Cooper. Nowadays, because I work a lot with the new kids on the block, I think Sean Locke is incredible. Johnny Vegas live is like, he just works off the top of his head, because he's like a personal friend of mine, because I played his father in the sitcom Ideal for 5 years. Yeah, Johnny's very, very good. Milton Jones, you know.
Right.
And then, of course, the Americans, you've got the lot. You've got Steve Martin, Robin Williams, incredible comics. Yeah.
I want to give away some tickets to an upcoming Big Fish comedy show, Mick. But just one more question before I can do that. You said that you left school with O levels in biology and metalwork. So naturally, comedy is the path to take. If those are your skills, I suppose, aside from cat welding, you so memorably told us. But what would you be doing, do you think, if you hadn't taken the comedy path? Because cat welding's illegal, I'm guessing.
Well, that's it's like I opened a drive-in sheep dip. It didn't go anywhere. I don't know. Well, in between the football and the blue coat, I went to work on the railway as a crane driver, of all things. You know, so
Okay.
obviously I wouldn't be a footballer at my age. So I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what I would have done. You know, probably still doing a little holiday camp somewhere in the caravan.
Well, as happily you took the path that you did. Look, it's time for tonight's competition. For tickets at Big Fish Comedy at Theatre by QE2, you can win tickets tonight to see the show aboard, but you need to follow the Facebook page you're watching to win. Very simple. Here's the question for you. 2 tickets. Which football position did Mick play when he was a lad and signed for Port Vale Football Club? Not saying anything else. Please like and follow the Facebook page you're watching to get news of our next shows and more chances to win as well. So Mick Miller is with us. You, Mick, are, and I'm going to compliment you here, don't blush, but you're a comedian who owns the stage. From the moment you come on, and I've seen lots and lots of your shows, you're in charge. Not in an overbearing way, but in a very natural way. You're warmed up and ready to go from the second that you come on the stage, I always think. How did you, if you did, how did you learn that?
Fright. Because when I first started doing the clubs, you know, you actually get on there and, you know, like an American comics walk on and they don't say anything funny for about a minute and a half, do they? Hi, where you from, where you from, where you from? On the way here, you know, Brits wouldn't accept that, you know. You've got to go on and hit them straight between the eyes. So I'm lucky in that respect with the hairstyle, you know, because it looks a bit funny. So, of course, I'm banged straight in, take the mickey out myself, and then whatever happens. So I usually get them within a minute.
Well, you do, because very often you'll come on stage and it will be a joke, very self-deprecating, directed at yourself, and it works so well because people are on your side, aren't they?
And also, you know, like if the Mick Miller, I've heard the name. As soon as you go on, and they say, "Oh, that's the guy," bang. Yeah. So they listen, you know. And I love doing the comedy clubs because, you know, when I started, there were hecklers. You know what I mean? All they wanted was bingo. You were like just on the side of the bingo. But now in comedy clubs, you know, you get so much respect, you know, which I like.
I think people have an appreciation now, don't they, of the skill, but also the guts it takes to get up on stage and open yourself up. Yes.
And what I like about, I mean, there's a club in Manchester, the Frog and Bucket, and like before it starts, this screen comes down and says, right, 20 minutes before the show, get your drinks in, you know, and then the screen comes back again, 10 minutes to go, get your drinks in, 5 minutes to go, turn all phones off, and hecklers will be removed. So you can't ask better than that, can you?
You can't. You got your audience there. Let me talk about some of your stage experiences, your experiences on stage. Can I start with maybe the most difficult or the worst experience you've had on stage?
Yes, that would have been in Windsor. I'd done the Des O'Connor show on a Wednesday night, and this guy
Yeah.
had seen me, and he said, "Right, I want you to it was the following Tuesday, and in Windsor they were opening one of those, not a water park, an indoor swimming pool with all the bits, the umbrella that squirts water and the little bit of a wave machine."
Okay.
And I arrived at this gig, and the Queen had opened it in the morning at 11 o'clock. And then the night time was the civic dignitaries. Well, water and sound does not work, Now, can you imagine this? They put a stage in the water and put a
Oh.
steel band on. Now, can you imagine the racket? Steel band, water. And there was balconies and people going everywhere, and they were giving buffets out. And then they put me on this
Oh.
thing, and the wave machine was on a bit. So, of course, this big stage was moving around with these waves. Then someone turned the mushroom on, with the water fountain flying all over the place. And I stood there for 20 minutes. The sound was absolutely dismal, for 20 minutes in a dinner suit. And when I came off, I ordered a cab. And I walked to the front, and I was just coming out, going into this cab. And this couple stopped me and said, "Excuse me, sir, what do you do?"
Not a word. Oh, that is awful. Let's change the subject then. What was your best experience? You've played Vegas. You've been a TV host. You've done movie. There's so much that you've done that I could point to, but I'm just going to let you say your best experience, your best comedy experience.
I don't know. There's been so many of them, really. Befriended by Les Dawson. Les took a bit of a shine to me, and I used to have a drink with him socially and have a little game of golf now and again. So that was a wonderful thing. Meeting Norman Wisdom, meeting Bob Monkhouse, meeting Barry Cryer, who was a lovely, well, still is a lovely, lovely guy and a great writer. In fact, he used one of my lines, and he gave me credit for it. I was doing a show, and he was there, and I think it was the Grand Room in the Grosvenor House, and there's a big balcony there. I mean, you can sit like 900 downstairs and like 300 upstairs. It's massive. Anyway, I'm doing my bit, and this guy on the front table heckled me. So I just said to the guy on the spotlight, I said, "Can you throw the spotlight on that gentleman?" So the light came on and the light went on him. I said, "No, that's the light. Throw the spotlight on him." And Barry Cryer liked that.
That's the way you deal with somebody. I want to bring up another friend of yours, and I think for a comic, this gentleman probably paid you the highest possible compliment. Ken Dodd said he thought you had the best timing of any comedian he'd seen or worked with, which is a huge thing to say. I think it's a lovely thing to say. And I'm just wondering, because timing is so important in comedy, if you learn that, or that's just something that you have. I mean, I guess you've had to work really hard at that.
I still work at it, just that half a second before the punchline, the look, before the punchline, and Ken was absolutely, I went to his 90th birthday, bless him, a wonderful, wonderful man. I mean, 5 hours on stage. You know, where
Yeah.
most comics, you know, we put a bit of new stuff in, and then you take a bit out. You know, and that's how your act would change over the years. You know, taking a bit out, putting a bit in. But Ken put it in, but never took anything out.
It was a
So that's why
huge talent. There was genius in him, wasn't there?
the ventriloquist thing he does, I think, is genius. You know, there's
Yeah.
with his little thing, Dickie Mint, and because he was quite a good ventriloquist, Ken. But when he says, you know,
People forget
would
that.
you like a nice bottle of brown beer and a nice brown bread sandwich, or a shandy? A shandy.
I love it. Let's just talk about something that you're really well known for. I want to bring up some more celebs in a minute, but have you ever got fed up with, I'm going to show a little bit of a video now, but have you ever got fed up with the noddy routine? Let's just look at it first.
Morning, kids. It's a Noddy show. Are you all listening to your radios? Well, what does little Noddy do today? He wakes up, doesn't he? Goes in the bathroom for a wash. Can you hear Noddy filling the sink with water? Little Noddy's got a big sink, hasn't he? He said, oh, sod it, I'll have a bath.
I mean, wherever you go, that's something that you can't avoid, I suppose.
Oh no, I do enjoy it, and it changes from time to time. You know, where things happen, and I just love it. In fact, would you like to know how the story how it started? It was many years ago. I was working in South Africa, and I was on this show. There was a girl singer, a double act, and myself, and I struggled. You know, every night I struggled. You know, and like, they just disowned me. All the other people in the show, they kept getting invited to barbecues and all that braai, they call it, you know. Oh, don't bring the comic, you know, because I was struggling. So I went up to the room and I was just sat there on my own, and I had the duty-free bottle of gin, and it was there because there was no television in the hotel. So I put the radio on, and it was Listen with Mother, World Service. And it started the Noddy show, you know. What does Noddy do today? So I picked the gin up and I poured some in the glass. And before I got rat-arsed, I wrote it down. And that's how it came about.
The presence of mind.
Yes.
Oh, man. Let's talk about some of the comics, the comedians, the actors, the celebrities that you've worked with, the personalities. I'm just going to let Nigel bring up a few pictures here and just run us through the story, if you would. There's the first one. Tell us about that.
That's Las Vegas, yeah, Las Vegas. Yeah, this company got in touch, and I didn't know who was going in. No one knew who was going at all. And they just interviewed you, you know, and see whether you'd worked with this person, that person, and all of it. And then I got the call that I was on it. And we met, all of us met, quite bizarre, at Wigan Pier. Can you believe that?
Why?
Well, Wigan Pier, yeah, it's a venue. It's a venue. So we went there.
Well, I suppose
no one knew.
Wigan Pier is kind of the Vegas of the Northwest, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, so that's where we met each other. Well, I knew Tommy and Bobby Cannonball, and I knew Jess Conrad, and Bobby Crush I'd never met before, or Anita Harris. So they were lovely people. And Kenny Lynch, who was, oh, bless his heart, he's no longer with us, but what a character. And Bernie Clifton. who is, oh, you've got to watch him 24/7 because he'll do something. When we were coming back, Bobby's always, you know, Yvonne looks after him everywhere. She looks after him. Of course, she's not there. And we're going to the airport. How will I know it's my case? Because there was quite a few black cases and he had a black case. So Bernie said, don't worry, look. So he's gone in his little bag of tricks and he's got some orange tape out. And he's put it round Bobby's case and he went, now look, yours is the one with the orange tape on it. He said, thanks very much. So we get to the airport and the bus opens and all the luggage come out. Every case had an orange tag on it. That's
almost evil, but in a good way. That makes a lot of sense. Let's bring up a few more pictures and just get you to tell the stories. Here you go. This is, to me, this is so important. The comedians.
Yeah, the comedians was a great time in my career. And the lads, that was, I think that was the 40th anniversary we did. And we did a few little theatres. Yeah. And that picture was taken in Blackpool at the Grand Theatre. But the comedians was great because, you know, you recorded 7 o'clock, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It was 3 nights. And you did 10 minutes each. So the material, I mean, it went through the material like wildfire. You know, so if you had a gag, you just kept it to yourself. Well, George Roper, we have an idiot board. It's a big piece of cardboard about 4 foot high, and they give you a black marker, and you just write what you're doing, and then it's put in front of the camera. So if you glance at it now and again, you know which gag, you know. So the floor manager, unfortunately, put George Roper's up when Bernard Manning was on. So Bernard Manning just did 10 minutes of George Roper's material. George went on and he had nothing left.
Tell you what, you pay money to see George Roper doing Bernard Manning, would you not?
Yeah. They were great pals, you know, because they were great pals because they were both into the racing. So they used to phone each other every day. Bernard Manning used to call me Shakespeare. He said, that Mick Miller, there's statues of him all around Stratford.
That's not a bad way to be remembered, is it? Let's bring up another picture, see what else we've got here, see what else you can talk us through. Ah, well, there you go. That's you, obviously, resplendent in cap, with another famous comedian.
Yeah, that's Peter at Carshare.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, it's on a week next Friday. The BBC are showing it again. So it's on a week on Friday on BBC at 9 o'clock. I'm in episode 6. Yeah, Peter's been very kind to me over the years because he got me on the Royal Command. They needed someone to do six. Yeah, they needed someone to do 6 minutes in between Penn and Teller and Singing in the Rain. Because after Penn and Teller, you know, Singing in the Rain, they have to put all these like fountains in for the water. Obviously, it rains on stage.
Sure.
So Peter said, get Mick Miller, because Peter was comparing the show that night. So that's how I got and I was supposed to be just a theatre act only. So I wasn't supposed to be on the show, the TV show. I was supposed to just do the 6 minutes to fill in. Anyway, I did it.
I mean, Peter Kay. Sorry, go on.
So I did the 6 minutes and I went home. And the producer phoned me two weeks later, and he says, "Your bit is that good. You're in the show." So it was nice, but unfortunately, I didn't get to meet the royals, and I didn't do the walk down. So you never know; might do it again.
It's quite possible. I mean, Peter comes from that tradition, doesn't he? If you think of Phoenix Nights, it's very much about the importance of the club scene. When, you know, you were the way you came into the business. He understands the importance of that.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he does jokes. You know, Peter's like this. He's not alternative. He's talking about life basically, and I think he gets that from the way he was brought up. You know, his mum's Irish, and it was like, put the big light on. You know, you say that to a kid nowadays, put the big light on.
I've forgotten that. I still say that.
Put the big light on. Yeah.
Put the big light on. I don't know. Oh, that's funny. Let's just bring up one more picture, and I'll let Nigel choose. Oh, here you go. This is. I'll let you explain this again.
Yeah, that's the green room in Liverpool, and it was a cabaret club that really took off. It's still there, doing really well. And I used to do a Sunday afternoon there now and again. And Ricky Tomlinson was a co-owner. So and Johnny, of course, with the thing with I'm playing his dad. I just phoned him up and I said, Ricky's going to be there. So anyway, he came down and we just had a bit of a lunchette after the show in Liverpool. That's the green room.
Okay, Johnny Vegas is a comic that you really admire. You mentioned him earlier.
He works off the top of his head, but he's so funny. And he just goes on. He doesn't know what he's going to do. I've done a few charity gigs with him. He's just so funny. How can you explain him? He's just a one-off, you know, and he's a great actor.
Well, he is, and I think people. I mean, we've seen him in lots of things. Benidorm, for example, comes straight to mind. But he has something you can't put your finger on. I remember watching him at first, thinking, "Oh no," and then it clicked, and I thought, "But he's indescribable."
I went to. He phoned me up and he said, "Would I go to Benidorm?" He was doing a DVD, so he said, "Will you come over and sit in the audience?" So we had Dave Spikey. Dave Spikey was one, Jason Manford, and myself. So it was scattered around the audience, you know. And he walked on and he said to this fellow at the front, you know, "What do you do for a living?" The guy said he sells washing machines. Oh, he said, "Right, which ones?" Anyway, the guy said, and it was a Spanish washing machine that he was selling. Johnny said, "Oh yeah, they're different." He said, "Because the door opens the other way." How would he know that? And it was right.
Right.
You know, the door instead of opening that way, the door opens that way, and he knew.
Right.
just amazed me.
Maybe that's the way you tell the mark of a man in the modern age. I don't know. It's one of those things.
He's a one-off. I love him. Love him.
Let me just repeat Mick. Let me just repeat the quiz question for a second. Remember to follow this Facebook page to get tickets to see a Big Fish comedy night on board the QE2. All you have to do is comment in the feed you're watching. Here's the question. Which football position did Mick play when he was a young lad and signed for Port Vale Football Club? Don't forget to follow us on social media for more chances to win as well. On Instagram, you can find us QE2 Theatre, at Big Fish Comedy ME, and at bookmyshow_UAE. Mick Miller with us today. I just wanted to talk about your style, Mick, a little bit, your comedy style again, because I've said, put my 10 cents in about you think you own the stage, but it's also your way to sort of flip between the one-liners and to tell proper jokes, if you like. But you don't seem to worry about how they weave together. You seem to have this innate knack of just jumping between subjects. Is that a conscious thing, or is that just the way it is?
It's always Bob Monkhouse once said, as long as you've got a beginning and an end, the middle will take care of itself. Okay. So that's the way I look at it, you know. I know the beginning, I know the end. So what comes in between? So now and again, I just like to throw it. I was always scared of, you know, if you're doing a long joke and someone in the audience and you hear them say, I've heard it, that's really frightening, you know, puts me right off.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I might do one or two long gags, but it's all like one-liners, you know. I went into a bookshop. I said, have you got any books on turtles? She said, hardback. I said, yeah, and they've got little heads.
I've just got to say at this point, and I mean this from a fan point of view, you're responsible for one of my favourite jokes of all time. And funny, because I knew I was talking to you today, I just went to YouTube and I was watching back some shows. But this is the joke. I can't tell it, but this to me is one of the funniest lines ever. Particularly since I've got older and maybe some of my hair's gone. You tell this joke about
what you're going to say.
You do. Well, I tell you what, I'll let you tell it. I love it.
Yeah. A man knocked on my door. He said, no, I forgot myself. My son, he said, Dad, there's a man at the door with a bald head. I said, well, tell him I've got one.
See, I don't know what it is about that, but I promise you this morning that I watched that back and I was lying on the floor holding my sides. It's just one of those daft jokes. A friend of mine used to tell me a joke, and I promise you, every time I hear this, I die. I'd say, put the kettle on. We used to share a flat, and he'd shout back, it won't suit me. And it's not funny. And I realise it's not funny, but to me that is, and that the bald gag is one of those. Just let's have a quick look at you on stage again. Here's just another little piece of video, Mick.
And if you're nervous flying, people always say, don't they? Well, if your number's up, your number's up. What if it's the pilot's number's up? Why get me involved? The Americans, you call it standing in line, and we call it standing in a queue. So I've given the lady the passport and the tickets, and she looked at me and she went, "Far queue?" I said, "Say again?" She said, "The far queue." So that's all right then.
Mick, you've been in the business over 40 years. You work with some of the UK's, probably the world's best known comedians, performers. You played Vegas. That was Vegas there, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, that was the Orleans.
That was Vegas there. Okay, so you've hosted. Go on.
I also did a comedy club in Vegas, you know, which was
really,
which was enlightening. But I really did well, you know, I really did well. In fact,
what's the difference between comedy club in the UK and comedy club in the US, for example, then, or anywhere else?
You've got to find a bit about, you know, the country you're working. You know, and it's just words as well. You know, I mean, don't go near a tap because they call it a faucet. Don't go near. You know, like when they say, oh, no, I was going to say, but it's a family show. Little words. Little
like boot or trunk of a car, that kind of thing as well, I suppose.
Yeah, the trunk and the boot. I mean, I do, what was the gag I did about, there's a mate of mine, and he's been in and out of prison all his life. And I saw him in the pub, and he said, "Mick, come here." He said, "I robbed this place last night." He said, "I've got two pictures. One picture is worth £1.9 million, and the other picture is worth £2.8 million. He said, "Come and have a look. They're in my boot." And he's opened his boot. I said, "You robbed an estate agent."
which would go down, I suppose. Look, I've got to do the competition again, but I was going to ask you, with all the things you've done, the people you've worked with, Vegas, TV shows you've acted, any career highlight that immediately comes to mind, the first thing that you would ding like a light bulb with?
I would say the Royal Command.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got away with the noddy thing at the Royal Command as well?
Yeah. I had to change the end.
Sure.
I had to change the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just give away some tickets once again. Final chance. Comment in the feed you're watching. Question to go to the Big Fish Comedy Show on board the QE2 later in the year. Which football position did Mick play when he was a boy and signed for Port Vale Football Club at 16 years old? We'll announce the answer and the winner in the comments. And don't forget to follow Theatre by QE2, Big Fish Comedy, and Book My Show UAE on social media for more chances to win and for more upcoming shows. If you're a winner, we'll let you know in the comments on the Facebook page. Couple of last questions, Mick, and I know you've got something there that I wanted you to just hold up, if you would. You're no stranger to the United Arab Emirates. And there was I believe you've got a poster there.
This was the poster from my first trip to Dubai.
When was that?
I think it was about 1980, and it was in.
I was going to say that looks like from back in the day.
The Rui Hotel at Jebel Ali.
That was the Rui Hotel. Really?
Yeah.
Is it the Jebel Ali Hotel, or I mean, it looks like something from that time.
There you are. It's there. Can't you read Arabic?
It certainly looks like you. You caught me out there. Nicely done.
Do you want it in English?
You've not changed at all. Rui Hotel is in, I'm guessing that's in Oman. But I mean, you've been coming here since before really there was very much going on. Certainly entertainment.
I mean, it was a beautiful place. Also, we used to fly out to an oil install, Das Island. We used to fly out and do a show there.
Right. That's tremendous.
Yeah, so,
I just want to ask you one more question as well. You're obviously no stranger to here. The QE2 is now permanently docked here in Dubai. But I know that you're a man who has an appreciation of QE2 memorabilia. Should we put it that way?
Oh yeah. Well, I've got this. Can you read that? That's all the.
Let's just pull that over to your right a little bit. There you go. That's it. That's just amazing. So it's almost like I don't know, fortuitous, or you come full circle that you're coming back to the QE2.
Yeah, well, to tell you a funny story, because I'm quite a laid-back guy. You know what I mean? Nothing phases me. Don't forget, I was a blue coat, so I wasn't used to luxury accommodation. So I never complain. Sometimes you get on these ships, and you get horrible cabins, So I'm on the QE2, and they give me this cabin. So I get to this cabin, and I've got a big case. So I had to open the door, and it was so small. I had to open the door, throw my case in, and then follow it. Then I put the case on the bed, and it nearly filled the bed up. So I've been traveling for 8 hours. So I went in the bathroom, and I'm sat on the loo, and the loo was really low down, and I couldn't get anywhere, so I had to put my foot in the bath, the tiny bath, and I'm sat there.
Right.
So anyway, I've gone up for a cup of tea, and the cruise director and all the entertainment staff are laughing. So I said, "What are you laughing at?" They went, "Go on, tell him." They said, "There's only one entertainer we could do it to, Mick, and it was you, but that's a child's cabin."
Oh, oh man! Do you know what? That's the perfect place to finish. It really is. That's all the time we've got. Mick Miller, you know what? It's been even better chatting to you than I'd hoped. Thank you very much for taking time.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Really, really nice to see you. Thanks for watching tonight. We're back on Saturday night, little earlier, 6 o'clock. It's sport. Chris McCarty is going to be chatting to the nimble-toed former England fast bowler and dancer, Darren Gough. Don't forget to check out and follow the Instagram handles for at QE2 Theatre, at Big Fish Comedy ME, and at bookmyshow_UAE. To get news of our next shows, like and follow the Facebook page you're watching. Thank you, as ever, to Theatre by QE2, Book My Show, and H2 Productions, and Nigel for pressing the right buttons. And a huge thanks to Big Fish Comedy for letting us have a chat with Mick Miller. That's it for tonight. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and wear your masks. Good night.